Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Welcome back to a brand new video and welcome back to my channel. So, I am going to do another ghost train story, and hopefully the Travel Channel company can put it on the Travel Channel. And like I said this morning, I'm going to talk slowly and not say the same thing and not repeat myself and stuff like that. Okay, so cause guys, listen. I don't repeat myself. I just have autism. Okay, and I just have spectrum autism and it becomes an issue, okay? And it becomes an issue, okay? All right. So I'm going to read my Ghost Train book and read a story now. And hopefully the Travel Channel company can put it on there, okay? Okay. All right. So here is the Ghost Train video to put on the Travel Channel and the Ghost Train video for today. So, here it is. Ghost Train of Marshall Pass. The Ghost Train of Marshall Pass. Ghost Train of Marshall Pass. Ghost Train of Marshall Pass. Okay. The old narrow gauge Denver and Rio Grande main line over Marshall Pass is gone now. Many years ago, going back to many years ago, because the story's gonna go back in time to the old days when the documentary is gonna be shown on the TV, and it's gonna go back to many years ago too. So it doesn't say what year this is. It doesn't say what year this was, but anyway, it was many years ago. And so, there you go. It was the scene of one of America's most famous ghost train incidents and accidents, too. Back when the Marshall Pass line was only a few years old, a passenger train was climbing to the 12,000-foot summit. The engineer got a signal on the cab gong to stop and ground the train to a halt. Just as he stopped, he heard a whistle somewhere behind, somewhere from behind. Soon the conductor came running up and demanded to know why the train was stopped. He hadn't given any signal. He said the engineer had started on his run feeling uneasy for no particular reason, and this incident really jittered him. He had to meet train number 19, and another was following him close, so he was in a dangerous situation by the time he got to his train moving. He heard a whistle again, looked back and saw with his horror that a train was speeding behind him, going much faster than he was. A collision seemed inevitable. The now frightened engineer pulled the throttle wide open and his engine plunged forward like a frightened rabbit. His train rocked through clogged snow sheds and across rough track in danger of plunging off the rails at any time. The engineer kept the throttle open though, because the train behind was catching up. The firemen and most of the passengers saw the train following. A wild rumor swept through the coaches that the second train was being run by a crazy engineer determined to collide with their train. The engineer reached the summit of Marshall Pass and muttered a prayer under his breath. He looked back, and the following train was still there. It was close enough now that he could make out details. The engine's driver were bigger than the ones on his engine, and a man stood on top of one of the cars waving frantically. A sharp curve approached, and the engineer looked back again. The following engineer was just a couple of 100 yards away. Then the engineer saw something that chilled through and through as his train reached in the middle of the curve. He could see the engineer of the following train clearly. The man was leaning out of his cab laughing. His face was white like the face of a corpse. Snow began falling, and still the chase was on. The engineer reached a bridge with a low speed limit, but he didn't dare slow down. He rocketed across the bridge, and still the second train followed him, seeming to gain on his train foot by foot. Now the engineer could see the switch lamp marketing the siding where he had orders to meet number 19. The engineer's blood ran cold when he saw number 19 was not waiting in the siding. Now he might be rammed for ahead as well as behind. Just past the switch, he saw a red light waving across the track, the railroader signal for danger ahead. Without even thinking about it, the engineer reserved the engine and threw on the brakes. He began to pray again, and expected any minute to feel the jolt as the pursuing train rammed his, killing who knows how many passengers back in the coaches. He waited for a second, and feeling no crash, looked back. He saw the pursuing train yards away. Suddenly, just before the pursuing train crashed into his, the track seemed to spread. The engine rolled off the side of the mountain, and the entire train rolled into the canyon. The engineer listened for the sound of the crash at the bottom, but all he could hear was the whistle of the wind. The engineer had more surprises in store that night. Looking at the track ahead again, he saw the caution signal had also vanished. It wasn't number 19 after all, the opposing train, but still be ahead of him. The The engineer got his train into the next siding before number 19 passed by. He finished his run to Green River, and here's perhaps the strangest part of the tale. As he got ready to leave the engine, he found a message traced in his frost in the frost on his cab window. A freight train was wrecked, as you saw. It said, "Now that you saw it, you will never make another run. The engine was not under control, and 4 section men were killed. If you ever run on this road again, you will be wrecked." This mystery was too much for the engineer. He quit the Denver and Rio Grande that day and got a job with the Union Pacific workmen. Went out the next day but found no train wrecked in the canyon. The phantom train of Marshall Pass was never seen again. So apparently the train had wrecked many years ago, and it still runs to this day. It still runs to this day. And also many years ago right here, Marshall Pass, I think, was back in 1940 or back in the 1900s. I don't know, but many years ago, I'm going to go ahead and say 1940 right now. I'm going to go ahead and say 1940 or 1900s, back when the tracks were there. I'm going to go ahead and say 1940s and so forth and so on. So yeah. I'm going to go ahead and say that. And to his horror, he found a message. And it said, "Now that you saw it, you will never make another run. The engine was not under control and 4 section men were killed. If you ever run on this road again, you will be wrecked." So listen, when you make another run, when you guys put this on the Travel Channel, let the story go back in time to many years ago, like the 1900s, I guess, or something. Just let the story go back in time. Let it go back in time, and put the ghosts on the screen, and just put it on the Travel Channel. Okay, that's all. Okay, all right. So I hope you guys enjoyed this story. I am now going to show you guys a example from the previous TV show Haunted Hotels that they used to have a long time ago. I am going to show you guys an example of the previous TV show of Haunted Hotels, and it's going to give you an example of how Ghost Train should look like on the Travel Channel when you guys put it on there, okay? When you guys put it on there, all right? So I am going to show you guys, and it's going to give you an idea and also an example of how Ghost Train should look like. You'll see the story going back in time. You'll see the apparitions appearing on the screen, and you'll see everything, okay? And that way you can make it look like it, and and put it in the TV show of the documentary of Ghost Train. Okay? All right? So without further ado, here's Haunted Hotels. Please enjoy this.
A haunted hotel can sometimes offer travelers much more than a night's stay. But not all guests are told the stories behind the ghosts. Those who learn the legends and dare to stay can find themselves in a room with a disturbing past. Any building can have its share of ghost stories, but it seems that things go bump in the night louder and more often in hotels. Sometimes a hotel's haunted reputation can be traced back to violence long ago.
People commit suicide, violent acts take place in hotel rooms. These are the reasons I think hotels are especially haunted.
And some believe the older the hotel, the more it is visited by guests from beyond. Built in the 1920s, the Bella Maggiore Inn is one of the oldest hotels in Ventura, California, and has seen its full measure of drama. But one particular room, Room 17, seems to harbor more than its share of legends.
Room 17 is a beautiful room. In fact, if it wasn't for the ghostly happenings reported over and over again, one might assume it's just another room in a fine bed and breakfast.
Employees and guests say the echoes of the room's dark past still reverberate today.
A variety of different things have happened in Room 17, and many of these events happen to people who don't know it's haunted.
The first thing that many guests notice is the pervasive scent of roses. Those who linger may learn the story behind the scent, that something disturbing happened in Room 17 to a young woman long ago.
She came to this place to ply her trade. The Bella Maggiore Inn is located on California Street, which extends right down to the ocean.
The street ends at a pier, which was a major thoroughfare during World War II.
During the war, it was very active. The sailors used to come into town. And of course, where you have sailors, what else do you have? Women to keep them company. Women who sell themselves for money.
One of the residents here was a girl named Sylvia, and she tended to have a little bit of a harlot background, so to speak, and she was staying here at the hotel.
Sylvia had the misfortune to fall in love with one of her customers.
Sylvia had grown fond of this gentleman that had stopped in to visit her, and they had started a relationship.
For Sylvia, the affair meant much more than money, and before long, the focus of her life became the romance that had blossomed in her lonely room. When at last the war ended, all the world rejoiced, except for Sylvia. Every day she would look for her sailor who had mysteriously vanished.
She would walk down to the pier and stand there and just look out over all the crewmen that were coming in and out, hoping to catch a glance that her lost love would be there. And that's where the story begins. The serviceman had failed to tell her that he was married, and after the war, he notified her and told her that he was going back home to his wife, and she became very despondent.
Sylvia's sorrow turned into despair when she realized that she was pregnant.
She felt like she just couldn't continue, and so she went into room 17 and locked the door.
It was several days before the hotel staff noticed Sylvia's absence and unlocked her door.
As housekeeping entered the room, they looked around and they could not find her. They noticed the closet doors were open, and they walked over and found that she had hanged herself in the closet.
Sylvia's tragic end triggered the beginning of a series of strange stories about the Bella Maggiore.
Shortly after her death, different things started happening within the hotel. There would be a scent of rose perfume down in the lobby, and then it was tracked back that that's what she had wore.
Guests often report that the bathroom lights will suddenly switch on late at night.
She's always mischievous, and you don't ever really know what's going to be happening with her.
A lady and her husband, older couple, checked into room 17. While at dinner, they had a big fight, big argument. Finally, she decided to go to bed with a headache, you know. While she was in bed, she heard the door open. Key in the lock, the door open, and then she heard the door close. She assumed it was her husband. Then the covers moved, and something slid in next to her. Well, he snuggled up, whatever it was, snuggled up. She said it felt ice cold, like a piece of meat from a meat locker. Just then, she heard a key in the lock. It was her husband. There was nothing in bed with her. They checked out that night.
Hotel Bella Maggiore has been the scene of various strange events involving the ghost of Sylvia, a young prostitute who died in room 17 in 1945.
When you're walking down the hallway, out of the corner of your eye, you'll catch a swinging card that has "Do Not Disturb" on it, and you'll catch it and it'll be swinging. But you turn to look and there's nothing there.
Sylvia does seem to crave male company, and young businessmen traveling alone have reported some rather strange experiences.
They'll feel some tugging at the sheets at the bottom of the bed. It's either that, or they will feel that someone has sat down on the edge of the bed in the middle of the night. Or they'll wake up and there is an imprint of a head on the pillow next to him. It's usually single businessmen that have the impressions on their pillow. Maybe she's just trying to find that comfort that she lost from her long-lost love that never returned.
I remember talking to one of the night auditors. He didn't believe in ghosts, didn't believe in Sylvia. His last night, he looked up and on the stairs, he saw Sylvia, dressed in that style of long ago, and she kind of waved at him and disappeared. Just letting him know that, yeah, there really was a ghost here.
In death as in life, Sylvia will sometimes leave the hotel and wander down to the water's edge to ease her loneliness. And according to local law, her misty figure is sometimes spotted still walking the old forgotten pier. Is it possible that Sylvia's restless spirit is simply trying to expose another ending to her story? A story that ends not in suicide, but murder.
Now, for years it was believed that she hung herself. That's what they say.
But the tale of Sylvia's last moments may be even more gruesome.
There was a sailor, a petty officer, a big man who came, and she invited him up to her room. And there they engaged in that activity for which he had paid. But then at the end, he strangled her to death. And then, fearful that he might be caught and perhaps face justice, he fixed her up so it looked as if she had hanged.
Does unfinished business keep Sylvia at the Bella Maggiore?
She's waiting for that sailor to come back. I don't know what she's going to do to him, but if I were a petty officer, I would avoid room 17. It's a great place, but I recommend that if you want a quiet night, maybe check into another room.
The ghost seems...
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and stop right there. So, did you see of how the stories went back in time, and did you see of how the story went back in time and the ghost appearing on the screen like that? Well, that's what Ghost Train has to do, and that's what the Ghost Train of Marshall Pass has to do too. So when you put the Ghost Train of Marshall Pass, when you put the Ghost Train of Marshall Pass, let the story go back in time to the 1900s or the 1940s, and put the apparition of the ghost train itself and excuse me, I'm sorry. Put the ghost train of the apparition itself and put it on there, okay? Okay? All right? So I hope you guys enjoyed that story, and I'll be back in a few minutes to do another ghost train story in a few minutes, and I am going to upload this to Instagram and YouTube and Facebook, and I will be back later today for my next ghost train story. Happy haunted travels to you guys, and happy ghost watching, and happy ghost hunting, and happy haunted travels to you guys, okay? Okay, bye everybody. Bye. Give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and ring the bell. Bye everybody.